Because I tend to purchase smaller onions just out of habit and pretty much a family rule that I grew up with, I needed quite a few onions, but if you are using larger ones, I would say you need about 3 large onions to yield 2 cups of raw chopped onions, which will produce about 1 cup of caramelized onions. But in all honesty, you really can't have too many caramelized onions. You'll also need 1 tablespoon of butter and just about 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Begin by slicing the onion lengthwise, crown to root. Slice off the crown end, leaving the root end intact, which will hold the onion together while you dice it. Peel off the outer crackly layer along with the usually slightly tough layer right beneath it. Do this for both halves. Make slices along the length of the onion from the root to the now open end of the onion, in which the half moon shape becomes smaller segments for dicing. You can also simply slice the half circles, caramelizing them as is, or even leave the onions whole and slice them into rings. One of my favorite videos ever on YouTube actually caramelizes onions to make French onion soup. The time elapsed that he shows is pretty awesome, and well, there's a lot of butter in play. In a pan on medium heat, add the butter and then pretty much an equal amount of olive oil. The olive oil slows the browning of the butter, which browns quickly because of the moisture from the cream and the milk solids that are in the butter. Another great substitution for a fat here would be ghee, which is a butter that has already been clarified and is traditionally used in Indian cooking, but tends to add a slightly nutty and richer flavor to any dish that includes it. Add the onions to the pan. Once all the onions have been coated with the butter, low and slow is the key here. Reduce the fire under the pan to the lowest setting and center the onions in the pan, making sure that you've collected any straggling pieces. Every 4 minutes or so, repeat the process of stirring the onions and then recentering them until they reach the color of caramelization that you like. I actually had to switch to the smallest eye on my stove because even the lowest setting on the larger eye was making the onions brown too fast. How dare you ask if I've ever walked away from the stove for too long and had to just toss the whole pan? Just keep an eye on them. The onions will gradually begin to take on a more golden color. Continue to repeat the process of stirring the onions and then recentering them until they reach the color of caramelization that you like. It's a bit of extra work and it took about 40 minutes to finish, but they definitely add an extra layer of flavor to any dish. Because of the amount of fat that is used, I mostly use them as a meat replacement on a spinach and mushroom pizza, for example. And more recently, I've used them in a sun-dried tomato and caramelized onion quiche. It's really up to you what sort of dish you wish to include them in later. Be sure to let me know what you use them for.